So I might be in a little over my head. Let's find out how screwed I am together. Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily, and I see you working toward that big goal. You've got this. Me, on the other hand, I'm not so sure. So I bought this Submarine Pickups SubSix with my own money, but they reached out later and offered to sponsor this video. So it's basically working out to me getting reimbursed for buying this pickup. Thoughts and opinions are all mine. I've also been boosted by support from Mackie, Sorry Cables, Digitech, and my wonderful friends at Sweetwater, all of whom helped me acquire the gear I needed to do right by this demo. So this is going to be a long one, so please check the timestamps in the video description if you're looking for anything specific or want to jump to sounds. Though I highly recommend you watch the setup portion before you consider buying this piece of gear, the Submarine SubSix. You might know Submarine from their original pickup, which you mounted atop your guitar under the 3 bass or treble strings. The original Submarine pickup was often used to send only the bass strings, for example, through an octave pedal for a deeper sound. If you don't have a bassist or didn't have a bassist, it was a really smart way to fill out that low end. Since then, they've come out with a few other models, the SubSix being, I believe, the newest. It's a hexaphonic pickup, which means there are 6 outputs, all sending an instrument level signal. If you align it properly, you get isolated output from each individual string, which is just bonkers. But why would anyone want this? There are a few use cases that Submarine themselves highlight, many of which involve using octave or pitch shifting pedals. Those include rocking different tunings. Think retuning your guitar to drop D, getting a 12-string guitar sound, and even getting B-bender sounds, all of which I will cover in this video. They also mention getting more string-to-string separation when using high gain pedals and creating interesting panning options, like sending alternating strings to left and right channels for a bigger sound. And I will do one of those in depth, and I will briefly touch on the other one. You can also put certain effects on certain strings, like fuzz on low strings and a washy reverb on the high strings. I would say that you're only limited by your own creativity, but that's not true, because you're also limited by your gear. There is frankly not a lot of information on how to use this pickup, not on their website and really not online at all. They themselves only give you, from what I could find, basic instructions on how to mount this thing onto your guitar, though their video descriptions on YouTube have a bit more info about how they routed certain things. I know they have a video about using the SubSix to create a B-bender and G-bender sound. The video itself didn't have info, the video description did. A lot of people don't click on the video descriptions. The manual also mentioned that it's an instrument level output, which makes sense given that it's a passive pickup, but that also means you need either a DI box or high Z inputs in your mixer or on your interface to get it to work properly. I want to get all of this out of the way because it probably sounds like I'm being negative, and I don't want that to be the impression that you're getting from my video. This is an impressive piece of machinery. It's honestly very cool, and it gives you a ton of options that you may not otherwise have. But again, you need the right gear and you need to know what you're getting yourself into. Which is to say, again, that you either need an interface that can accept 6 instrument level inputs, a mixer with high Z inputs, which isn't, terribly common, but isn't impossible to find, or a mixer or interface with active or passive DI boxes. They recommend active. I'm using passive because though you probably can get this to work with line level inputs if you really crank the gain, Submarine doesn't recommend it. Let me quote them on that. Whilst they're from the UK, whilst you may be tempted to use the line inputs of your guitar interface, please note that there will be noticeable decrease in the high frequencies, the dynamics may not sound correct, and since more gain is needed, there will most likely be an increase in crosstalk and noise. You will most likely get a usable signal, but it will come with several drawbacks, and we do not recommend it. Unfortunately for me though, I didn't realize how much gear I would need when I bought the Submarine SubSix, and that's kind of my fault. The FAQ page covers a lot of what you need to understand the SubSix, and it even gives specific interface recommendations, but I firmly believe this information needs to live on the product page itself. Fortunately, my friends at Mackie are superheroes, and they sent me some things. That includes these DI boxes. I got 6 of them. Specifically, this is the MDB1P passive DI box. It has a ground lift, it has through, it has input. You can pad or not pad. These are really great aluminum enclosures. They feel really robust, and you can rack mount them, which is something I probably will eventually do. I'll probably make a whole little rack mount setup around this product if I get my way. Mackie also sent me their 1402 VLZ4 mixer, which you can find directly via their website, or you can visit Sweetwater. I'll have links to both in the video description. Frankly, I've been wanting a mixer like this for ages now, so I'm really stoked for it. Mackie is based outside of Seattle and makes robust, high-quality gear that's affordable. You may have seen my video on the Mackie show box recently. I'll try to remember to put that in the video description, but I digress. The Mackie 1402 VLZ4 is a 14-channel compact mixer that features Mackie's flagship Onyx mic preamps, a 3-band EQ, 2 aux sends with stereo returns, which I'm absolutely going to use, and more. Also, all mono channels have insert jacks on the back, so you can connect external effects. And of course, you always get that amazing Mackie manual. If you're sleeping on Mackie manuals, I kind of feel sorry for you. They are required reading. I read them just for fun sometimes. That's not a joke. Their manuals rule. They explain not just the how, but the why of the gear, and they have the best Easter eggs and jokes. But first things first, we're going to talk about mounting the pickup and the pickup itself. I've chosen to use my Jazzmaster. This was formerly the gold foil Jazzmaster, but I had to do some work on it. I've chosen this one because the pickup fits pretty easily on the pickguard. So back to the SubSix. You get these little sticky semi-circles that you adhere to the SubSix. The back then peels off and it sticks to the guitar. It's not really a sticker, it's more of a micro suction thing going on from my understanding, so you don't have to worry about sticker residue. Submarine sends you a lot of mounting options, and that part of their instructions are actually generally pretty good, so I'm confident you'll get what you need for this part right out of the box. Really quickly, do not put these on nitro finish. I did because I couldn't find anything in the box that told me not to, and I had a little bit of finish damage after about 12 hours of it being stuck on there. That's on me for not assuming that, sure, but I don't want you to suffer the same fate. And I did find a blog post about their original product that does specifically say don't put it on nitro and don't put it on matte finishes. If you can put this on a pickguard or poly, you're golden. If not, maybe contact Submarine and ask them more questions about that. Again, I don't really blame Submarine for that. I blame me, and the damage is very minimal, but it still made me kind of sad. Once you mount this to the body, you use the 2 cables that they gave you and you plug them into their corresponding plugs. So the part with the white tape, at least it is on mine, that goes into the treble side, and the part with no tape goes into the bass side. These are TRS cables, by the way, because each of them has 3 outputs: red, orange, yellow, blue, green, violet. Going back to the pickup, this is pretty, this seems like it would get really like crowded, really tangled. It's not so much the case. So what you do is you mount this to the guitar, you plug it in. These go around the back of the neck behind the body. They give you 2 ties. So one I just get as taut right behind the neck as I can. And the other one I kind of put through the guitar strap to keep that more in place. Then what we do is we grab these DI boxes and we plug them in to each one individually. It is a lot of gear. I know, I'm sorry, but it's pretty cool. Speaking of sorry, I want to talk about routing, and that involves giving a huge thank you to my friends at Sorry Cables who made me this incredible snake. So I have half of the snake goes out of the DI box, the other half goes into the mixer, but it's even color coded exactly like the outputs on the Submarine pickup cables. So I got my red, orange, yellow, blue, green, violet, and neon colors. I bought this, so again, thank you to Sorry Cables for making this happen and getting it to me so quickly. So obviously, again, one goes into the DI box and the other goes into the mixer. You don't need a snake. I found, or I believe, that it would be more organized and easier with the color coding, and I was right. It made me also very happy. Thank you, Sorry Cables. I apologize if I'm being a little bit redundant here. I just want to get the point across. I have plugged every output jack, every TS output, into one of these DI boxes. Red is the low E, orange is the A, yellow is the D string, green is the G string, blue is the B string, and indigo is the high E. Roy G Biv, just like the rainbow. For some reason, I'm having a little bit of trouble saying that, but I hope that you understand it. Again, Sorry made the snake with the corresponding colors. Just what a hero. So that makes it very easy to then take the snake, go into the back, red into red, orange into orange, yellow into yellow, etc. And then red into, would go into input 1, orange into 2, and so on, with the violet being in input 6 and channel 6. Post-production Emily thinks that you may benefit from a diagram because that's just how some people work better. So again, the Roy G Biv from the Submarine pickup goes into each DI box, or if you have a multi-channel active DI box in a rack mount or something, that would work too. Each of those channels goes into the mixer, and then from the mixer, I send a stereo out signal to my IO Station 24C by PreSonus. That's not in this diagram, but here, diagram, hope that's helpful. Here's the rest of the video. Also, some of the things I'm doing require a TRS to dual TS cable. Enormous thank you to my friends at Sweetwater for hooking me up with these incredible ProCo cables. That's ProCo, like the company we all know for the rat. They make a lot of great products, including these. I'll be using these with channel inserts later in the video. Other than the Sorry cables and the SubSix pickup, everything I'm featuring on this video can be found on Sweetwater. I've been shopping at Sweetwater since way before I was an affiliate, before I was a YouTuber at all, and a big reason is for their customer support. I know I can email or call up my rep with questions, including complicated ones, and have them guide me through solutions. One of my favorite Sweetwater memories is asking them what gig bag would fit my Starcaster. My rep didn't know off the top of his head, so he grabbed a Starcaster and started trying it out in different gig bags. This was even before I released my first video, so that wasn't special treatment. And yeah, just again, major thank you to Sweetwater for helping making this video and project a reality. So we need to decide what we want to do with the SubSix, and that will shape the how of the routing of everything else. So here are some of my plans. 1. Hard pan alternating strings. That one's going to be pretty easy and it's very effective, which is to say it sounds really, really cool. 2, I'm going to use the new Digitech MonoNeon Whammy to create a B-bender effect. This is actually going to be quite a heavy hitter in the entire video. Enormous thanks to Digitech for sending me this for this video. They kind of rushed sending on that, so big shout out to them. I'm also going to use the Digitech MonoNeon signature Whammy. I'm going to use their octave up to make a 12-string guitar sound. So I'm going to send the octave up to the low E, the A, the D, and the G strings. They're all going to go up an octave, and I'm going to make sure the blend is right so you can still hear the original pitch of the sound, if that makes sense. Pitch of the string? Pitch of the string. I'm once again using the MonoNeon signature Whammy to tune to drop D. Yeah, again, this pedal's doing some serious heavy lifting. It's very impressive and very cool. From there, I'm going to use the aux sends and returns to test out using different effects on different strings. I have a few things in mind. I think you're really gonna like them. And last but not least, I'm going to put each string through a different delay pedal, and I'm gonna make you guess which is which. So buckle up, babies, it's gonna be a long one. It's already a long one. Again, I have included chapters, so feel free to skip around. I also want to add that, though I'm getting a small stipend for filming this video, any support using my Sweetwater affiliate links or even dropping a tip via the Say Thanks button below is enormously appreciated. Let's get into it. The first thing we are going to do is hard pan each string left and right. You can actually do this with the Submarine Sub Pro pickup a lot more easily, but we have the SubSix. This one is super easy. I'm gonna go over to my mixer and simply pan each channel alternating left and right. Easy, breezy, beautiful. Mackie 1402 VLZ4 compact mixer. Let's do it. By the way, if y'all have any recommendations for a rack unit that would fit this guy, I think I'm in that place where I need a rack unit. Turning up my volume on both sides, my main mix. Got some reverb going, obviously. I can hear that panning pretty clearly. I have these Mackie CR, I think they're the CR 4.5s behind me, and the way that they're positioned, I can hear that panning really well. And I've listened to it before. It has no business sounding as cool as it does, like for real. You can do other fun things. Something that I was doing earlier is I was setting it so the low end is more on one side and the high end is more on the other. It's a great way to biggin the sound without being as, what's a good word? Like stark. Because sometimes if you're playing like, those would just be on the same side because I was doing the alternating, but you definitely are hearing the low more on one side than the other. It's a rounding kind of way. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm going to return to center and I'm going to solo every string just to hear how good the isolation is, starting with the low E. That's not perfect, but it's not bad. You all right? That was pretty good. So on the B string, you can definitely hear the G a bit. Probably a little bit more than a bit. I'm not sure how much more I could fine tune that. That's really the most bleed we've heard so far. You hear a little bit of the B on the high E. But altogether, pretty decent isolation if I do say so myself. It is imperative to fine tune this placement to make sure they're in the right spots. I know that each coil has its own wind. I've seen like the exploding diagrams of it. I just really wish that there was a visual way on top to see where exactly you should be lining up those strings. Next up, whammy time. Now I'm turning this Jazzmaster into a B-bender. I'm not going to use the aux sends and returns for this. I will use those later. Instead, I'm using the channel inserts on the back. Those require a TRS to dual TS cable. Thankfully, I got a bunch of those ProCo cables from my friends at Sweetwater. I'm using the MonoNeon Whammy from Digitech. That's his signature whammy. It's available on Sweetwater, set to major second. That's 2 semitones up, which is what a B bender does to the B string. So we plugged that guy into channel insert 5. The tip goes into the pedal, the ring goes out of it. There we go. So the reason I'm only using a channel insert is because I want the entire channel affected and only on the B string. I could use the aux send and return for that, but it's just easier to use a channel insert. Turn that gain up so you can hear it better. That's a very classic pedal steel kind of sound. The other pedal I've used for this kind of effect, the B bender thing, which I just gotta do it again. Sounds so good, was the Digitech Whammy Ricochet, so that's another solid option. I like the MonoNeon Whammy or any whammy pedal really because it already has that expression pedal built in, so you can control the speed of that bend. A lot better with the momentary function on the Ricochet. You have to kind of set it and leave it there. Using the same process with the channel inserts, I can now tune this guy to drop D with a pitch pedal. I'm again using the MonoNeon signature whammy. This time it is going a major second down. So here we are in standard. And that D chord just sounds a lot bigger, more open in drop D. So what I'm going to do now is reset, use those aux sends, get some fun stuff going, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, let's talk about the setup of this really quickly. I'm still using the Digitech signature MonoNeon whammy. I have the blue cable from Sorry going in from the aux send, and I have the return on this neon cable going into aux return 1 because it's a mono effect. So I'm turned up the aux master 1 over here to about midway, and now I turn aux 1 up on those first 4 channels. In case you didn't guess it, what I'm going for here is a 12-string guitar sound. If I turned up the aux mix all the way, it'd be a Nashville tuning sound. Here is how every string sounds with the pedal disengaged. That just works. Now you have that 12-string sound with a normal 6-string guitar. Is this setup cheaper than buying a 12-string electric guitar? Depends on the guitar, but it's absolutely easier to play than a standard 12-string, man. I'd say it's at least a little bit convincing. It'd be more convincing if I had doublers on the B and high E string. It's nice. Now let's use those aux send and returns for something else. Okay, so similar to last time, I have a pedal going from the aux send 1. This time I'm going into the Catalinbread Katzenkönig, and the return is going again into the mono, just channel 1 of that first return. I also have the UAFX Golden Reverberator coming out of aux 2, and that's a stereo effect, so it's going into both returns. Let's here it goes. I want to give a little hat tip to Emily Hopkins, because something she does on her harp a lot is she'll put a fuzz pedal on the low strings, the bass strings of her harp, and she'll do other kind of fun ethereal stuff on the high strings. And I can't promise nearly those skills, but it's a similar vibe. I have the aux all the way up on these first 3 channels. Those are the low strings. And then I have reverb going on the high strings only. Let's hear it. That's pretty sick, I'm gonna be honest. Man, Rick, what do you think? Wait, I can't, are you giving me a thumbs up? I can't see that. I love that. That's beyond sick. It is a little bit noisy, but you know what? Let's gosh, do some panning. I think this will be fun. I'm gonna do that wild panning again. You know what? Let's put fuzz on all the strings. And I have a stereo tremolo pedal that'd be perfect for this. It's an older Catalinbread pedal. Matt at Yamaha told me about it. So I'm going to reset just really quickly and do one more thing with this kind of similar setup. I didn't test this, so we're going to find out live together. It's almost like a clean blend because there's no fuzz going in to this stereo Semaphore tap tremolo pedal. My camera battery died there, but I needed to reset anyway, so that's fine. What I have here is the Caroline Guitar Company Somersault. It's my favorite chorus. And I have this, you've already seen it, the stereo tremolo. I have the aux up all the way for both of these, just in case you were curious. I know the funny thing is that you can just do it on some string. So let's make it so that every other string is panning, because that would be weird. And we're here for weird. That's why we're here. It's actually kind of cool when it's only on the high strings. It's kind of like the extra reverb from before was really cool just on the high strings. And then the other ones are still pan trimming. So the last thing I'm going to do here is I have the Caroline Guitar Company Somersault on the high strings. And I have my stereo tremolo on the low strings. Yeah, I think that was pretty cool, and I have one more thing up my sleeve for y'all. Last but not least, I've dropped a different delay on each string. We have the Night Creatures by Non-Human Audio, the Red Panda Particle, the Low Sounds FM Thingy, the Death by Audio Speed Tripper, which I think is the most obvious, the Death by Audio Exploding Head, and the Bookworm Effects David Foster Wallace. How I've done this is just like I did the Whammy with the B string as a B bender and as the drop D. Those are using the inserts on the back, the channel inserts on the back of the Mackie 1402 VLZ4 mixer. So I have the TRS end of those ProCo cables in the channel insert. The tip of each goes into the input of each pedal, and then the ring goes into the output. And that's how I put a different delay pedal on every single string. I have everything panned to the middle right now, but we'll do some fun panning later. So really quickly, I can already tell a few of these. I can't tell all of them by ear, but like I could hear something very familiar on the high E and the B string. I believe the A string was a pretty obvious one as well. But I'm wondering, I want to know, can you guess it right? Do you know which is which? Drop your guesses in the comments. If anyone gets them all right, I will, one, be very surprised, and I'll also send that first person 2 pieces of Get Offset merch of their choice and maybe a guitar pedal. Let's do some fun panning. I'm going to hard pan alternating strings left and right like we did earlier. That probably sounds pretty nuts in stereo. I feel like I'd be remiss to not do this. I love that. That's a very cool use case for this pickup for sure, especially in recordings. But really quickly, what I was originally going to do is I was going to run each string through a different fuzz pedal. In the room, it didn't sound right. Like there was something that was bothering me about it, namely like the difficulty of the separation, which I'll get to in a minute, but I want to show you a clip of me just really quickly doing the same thing with 6 different fuzz pedals last night. It ended up sounding really good in post, but it was extremely loud. So for this type of use case in particular, which I do think is a really fun one for the SubSix, it was really hard to ensure the balance of each string. Since they're going through different effects, especially for the fuzz, each one had its own volume and gain control. It just made it hard for me to hear with my ear exactly what the balance would be. I think if you were going in to if you had an interface that had 6 high Z level inputs or something like that, you could balance that out a little bit better. But since I'm doing a stereo run, it was difficult and it was a little discouraging for me. But going back and listening to it, I think it sounded really good. I think I was very close. And it's something I would absolutely want to try again. That was a little less of an issue with the delay pedals here, but I still had to do some tweaking. I don't think I got the mix too high on any of these, but that was a concern of mine just because then it would have been quieter. That being said, obviously on the 1402 VLZ 4, you can fine tune the volume going out, but in the moment, it is a little bit hard to hear and it takes some preparation. Thank you again to Submarine, Mackie, Sweetwater, Digitech, and Sorry Cables for making this video possible. Check out links to products featured in this video in my video description. If you liked this video, check out the one on the screen where I did some serious work on this guitar. It's a fun story, it's a fun video. I didn't lose any fingers. So please go ahead and check that out. Thanks for watching, thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily. Goodbye.